This morning, we are celebrating a cultural phenomenon unlike any other. It has been 50 years since Soul Train first crossed the tracks of our minds. The show premiered back in 1971 as a showcase for black musical talent and influenced everything from dance to dress and even ad spending. The broadcast, which ran for 35 seasons, remains one of the longest-running syndicated shows in American history and continues to inspire generations of artists across genres. I joined music and culture journalist and author Nelson George at Rough Trade Records in New York City to discuss how Soul Train came to be and its enduring legacy. It's been half a century since Soul Train rolled onto the scene and into the history books.
Here is your host, Don Cornelius.
Chicago DJ Don Cornelius created the show to highlight black artists largely ignored by the mainstream charts.
Gotta remember, there is no national black shows showcasing black music. You could have, the Supremes on Ed Sullivan, but that's a one-shot.
Journalist and filmmaker Nelson George is author of Soul Train, the hippest trip in America.
Don's idea was kids and big-name acts, just black music.
The show was an instant hit in Chicago and relocated to Los Angeles to be broadcast nationally.
Soul Train, show number 154.
But Cornelius was an unknown in Hollywood.
The biggest challenge he had was obviously booking talent. Who is this guy? He's another black DJ from the Midwest.
Unable to land big-name acts on the West Coast, Soul Train turned to local talent, a move that would give the show its signature.
When you think of Soul Train, we know it's black music, but the stars of the show are the dancers.
Originally known as the Soul Train Gang, the dancers changed the way America learned to move.
Before then, dance traveled almost word of mouth. What Soul Train did was take the kind of anecdotal way that black dance traveled and put it on a national thing. So things like popping, locking, all of these different dance styles, they go from Soul Train into every schoolyard in America in one day.
When the Jackson 5 appeared and did Dancing Machine, and Michael got up there and did the robot, the next day, every kid is out there like trying to do the robot. But when did the musicians all of a sudden realize you got to be on Soul Train?
Well, I think one of the big gets was James Brown. Because James Brown was the guy. And once Brown said it was okay, it helped open up the floodgates.
How about it, gang, for Miss Aretha Franklin?
Stevie Wonder, the moment's fully guaranteed.
Soul Train was the national vehicle for black music from 1971, untouched, into the 90s.
But more than just a music dance variety show, Soul Train depicted black life like never before.
I always say that black joy was the weapon the civil rights movement didn't know it had. You're not seeing them marching and protesting. You're seeing the fun part of black culture. So this was a window into black culture that had never been ever on American TV.
And decades later, Soul Train is still celebrating the best in soul and R&B with the BET Soul Train Awards. We caught up with Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter Leon Bridges during rehearsals for the award show at the world-famous Apollo Theater in Harlem.
Growing up, my family was super religious, but they made an exception for soul music. My father, he put me on to the OG Soul Train, and so Curtis Mayfield.
But reality, what does it mean? Ain't nothing said.
He created the blueprint of what R&B guitar is. Fast forward to when, I picked up a guitar from the first time, I tried to just kind of channel that energy.
This year's awards are celebrating Soul Train's 50th anniversary, and the Apollo is the perfect backdrop, says award show executive producer Connie Orlando.
All artists were like, we got to do that stage. We have to do the Apollo stage, we have to do the Soul Train stage, because when you went there, it was home.
Some of the greatest soul artists and R&B artists have graced that stage, and so I feel like there's a little bit of, lingering magic.
Everybody plays the fool.
And Soul Train's magic, born out of an idea that music and moves of black culture should be celebrated, enchanted everyone into understanding that this is America.
I would say that Don built a platform. People say Soul Train line, everyone gets happy. It's just America. It's just Americana. It's part of the culture.
I'm Don Cornelius, and as always in parting, we wish you love, peace, and soul.
And like Don used to say, if you didn't get it, it can't be got. That is Soul Train.
I tell you, my girlfriends being in LA, my friends in high school would go down, stand in line and try and get into the Soul Train taping. And there was only one who did, Angelique Falk. And she made it in.
Legend.
She danced like no other.
It wasn't just black artists who performed.
Right,
Elton
right.
John, David Bowie played on Soul Train. That was huge. I mean, Elton John was one of the biggest stars in the world, still is. And for him to play Soul Train, it was huge. It was a huge moment.
And we were all talking about it all morning, as we've been saying. I remember it coming on TV, and you remember that moment and seeing the train, 11 a.m.
Right?
11 a.m.
11 a.m.
And that's what I
Soul
remember.
Train would come on, and that was me. My uncle and my aunt, they were like teenagers, and we all went out the next day. Everybody was like, dun, dun.
Your robot was good, Vlad.
And what wedding doesn't have a Soul Train line?
Right.
Every wedding.
Right.
Every wedding.
They were saying, everybody gets happy.
All right, so the 2021 Soul Train Awards.
We need a little higher pitch.
Woo! Dana, bringing it. Way better than I could. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on BET, of course, a division of Viacom CBS. And head to CBSMornings.com and our social media feed for an extended behind-the-scenes look. I joined the Apollo's executive producer, Camilla Forbes, to discuss the theater's history and continuing cultural impact.
Yeah, she's a good one.
You know her.